WISH TV is focused on family and the community and is committed to sharing the stories of those who are making a difference every day. From the All Indiana Podcast Network and WISH TV, this is Behind the Eight Podcast with WISH TV's George Mallet.
This is George Mallet. In this episode of Behind the Eight, I'm interviewing Nightside reporter Danielle Zulkosky. Danielle, a Lancaster, Pennsylvania native, has been on a quest to visit every Lancaster possible since she began stumbling on Lancasters here in the Midwest. I decided to interview Danielle behind the wheel because that's where it's very likely to find her. She travels while working as a WISH TV Nightside reporter, and as you'll hear, she also drives in her free time, spending whole days in the car to visit a Lancaster or multiple Lancasters. We join Danielle Zulkosky now behind the wheel of a WISH TV van.
Your day moves fast. Your news should too. That's why there's a new and improved WISH TV app bringing you more local news, breaking alerts, live streaming, weather forecast, radar, and Indiana sports all in one place. Customize your news feed to see the stories that matter most to you and get the information you need when you need it. Download the new and improved WISH TV app today on iOS or Android and take News 8 with you everywhere.
Tell me how this tour of the United States Lancasters, what was the motivation for it?
So we, at my last station in Wisconsin, we ran a story about this cow named Hilda that set a record for milk production. And I found out she was located in Lancaster, Wisconsin. And I was like, wow, I thought there was only one in South Carolina. I didn't know there was one in Wisconsin. I got to go check this out. And then I looked it up and I found out there was so many of these Lancasters that I decided, you know, I'm going to go to all of them.
And you've been on the road?
Yes, basically. That was April of 2021, right as COVID stuff was really easing. So I was able to do that. And I'm talking about, like, you're going out to rural Wisconsin where you start to get into, like, the hillier part because Wisconsin's pretty flat. When you get out west, like, you're way out there. So I'm talking about, like, a teeny tiny small farm town in Grant County, Wisconsin, where the closest real city you're going to see is in Iowa. You are out there. And I was like, this is so fun because why else would I have come to Grant County, Wisconsin? And I live in Wisconsin. This is my home. And now I live in Indiana and this is my home. And it's just been cool to see these states I live in and these other Midwestern states since this is my home now. I've been to 10 states with Lancasters, but Indiana has 3 fully separate stops that are all on different sides of the state. So more than 10 stops.
Wait a minute, there are 3 Lancasters in the state of Indiana?
Yes, 2 called Lancaster and 1 called Patricksburg. And on the list it says in parentheses, a community also called Lancaster.
So do people get each other's mail if they're in a different Lancaster?
They have different zip codes.
Okay.
So I had to figure out, there's one that if you just type Lancaster, Indiana, one of them will show up and the other one won't. You have to type in the zip code with it in order to get there. So when I went to these ones, I was like, okay, now make sure you're driving in the right direction because one's north of here and one is south. So I was like, okay, now don't accidentally drive to the wrong spot.
So what's the most memorable Lancaster so far?
I would say my favorite one's been Lancaster, Kentucky, not counting my home of Pennsylvania because that's my favorite. But Lancaster, Kentucky is gorgeous. It's about an hour outside of Lexington. It's kind of hilly out there. You're not fully in Appalachia, but you're kind of on the edge of it at that point. And we went to this pork barbecue restaurant and had the best barbecue because you're well in the South at that point. And then it was just some very authentic food. Just, again, a very cute town that we got to explore and stay in a very cute Airbnb and meet people along the way that otherwise I would not have met or seen or probably explored that part of Kentucky. I probably would have stayed in Lexington or Louisville. And I did stop in those cities along this because I drove all the way down from Wisconsin.
So give me a sense of, I mean, it sounds like this adventure's been pretty much fun.
Yes. Very fun. Going to Minnesota, it was a nice town. Don't get me wrong. It just was 10 hours away from where I was in Northeast Wisconsin. And let me tell you, you get past Minneapolis and it drags and you're just going. And it was 6 hours from Minneapolis up to there. And Minnesota is incredibly rural, like, and so big. You don't realize how big it is until you drive across the entire length of the state, that you're just like, oh goodness, I've really made a commitment to a 10-hour road trip today.
You must tell the locals, what brought you there and what you're doing. What do you hear from Lancaster residents when you show up in town?
They're always like, oh, that's so cute. I met someone in the Lancaster that's southeast of Indy, and he saw me taking pictures by the sign, because they take a picture at every one. And he was like, what are you doing? And you just taking pictures out there. I was like, yeah, I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I had to come check it out. I just moved to the state. And he was like, oh, well, here's what you need to do. And he pointed me in the direction of a historic site down there, a college that was one of the first colleges to accept African Americans and women in like the Civil War era.
So what's the weirdest thing that has happened to you on this quest?
I feel like Lancaster, Kansas was one of the more out there ones, because you're talking more like it's like more Wild West kind of feeling when you're in that really rural part of Kansas. And we went to this restaurant and we were talking to the woman, and this is like a town of, I don't even know if it's hundreds or just 100 people. And I was like, yeah, like I looked on Google Maps and I'm looking for your sign that says welcome to Lancaster, and I can't find it. Where did it go? And they're like, oh, a tornado blew it over and we haven't been able to replace it since. And I'm just like, I guess that's just the reality for you, is that tornadoes come through and take things out, and it's such a small town that you can't afford to fix it. I don't know. People have been mostly normal and nice.
But you're getting to see, I mean, the goal is Lancaster, but you're really seeing the United States in sort of off the beaten path.
Yes. So when I plan these itineraries, I plan in major cities as well. So when I went from Wisconsin to do Kentucky and Tennessee in one weekend with no PTO, I went first Louisville, Lexington, Lancaster, stayed overnight, Lancaster, Tennessee, and then Nashville. So I did 5 cities in one weekend and got to experience Nashville, which was so fun, and also do my Lancasters and take pictures there. I think Lancaster, Tennessee probably was the wackiest one. You were off in the mountains in Tennessee, and I didn't even see anyone there. I didn't see a soul. I think that's the weirdest one, is that I didn't see a single person while I was there. And the whole time I was there, I was like, nobody get upset that it's a stranger. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just here to visit. Like, and like, if you don't come out and say hi, like, I can't explain to you that I'm just like here to check it out and take pictures in front of your fire station. It was interesting. I also think Patricksburg, Indiana, the community also called Lancaster, was one of the wackier places. I'll show you the pictures then. They're on my laptop. It was like really cool to see, because when else would I ever go to Patricksburg? And it just had like a very interesting little store. That is southwest of here, and I did Lancaster, Illinois in the same trip because they're both southwest. So I was like, well, if I'm going to be driving to Lancaster, Illinois, I might as well do Patricksburg in the same journey. Sometimes I'll double them up. Like Kentucky and Tennessee were pretty close to each other, and to drive all the way down to Tennessee from Wisconsin at the time, because I've been doing this now for so long, I've lived in 2 whole separate states. But, you kind of loop them up.
What's next?
Next, I don't know if it'll be Missouri next or New Hampshire.
My thanks to Danielle Zulkosky for allowing me to join her on the road. You can see Danielle's reports on WISH-TV'S nighttime broadcasts. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and encourage you to subscribe to this and all the other podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network. This is George Mallet with Behind the Eight.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is Behind the Eight Podcast with WISH-TV's George Mallet. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And connect for even more on Facebook and at WISH-TV.com.